This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hello, everybody. This is DTV, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted voice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James Shea, and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with DTV!
Well, hey, thanks for having me, James. It's great to be on here. I've never done this kind of thing before, so I'm really excited.
Absolutely, and we're happy to be your first as well.
Can't wait.
Could you tell us what you got coming up next event-wise?
Next event-wise for me, I always show up, and sometimes I get on things. I'm never on any like match graphics. It's usually pre-show things. But the next thing I have coming up for myself, I'll be February 8th at Pride Style Wrestling in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been thrown into this thing called the New Wave Show, or the New Wave segment, where it's a lot of the newer talent trying to come in, make a name for themselves on their show.
All right. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
My merchandise, you just have to DM me and say, I want a t-shirt. But as for my social medias, I don't have a Facebook. For Instagram, it is dtv.pro. And for my Twitter, or X, dtvpw.
So basically, DM TV.
Is that a pun?
Yes.
Okay. DM DTV. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, okay. I see what you did there.
Right, and you don't even have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. You mentioned you'll be doing stuff out in Las Vegas. It was about a year ago you transitioned from the East Coast to the West Coast. What kind of prompted that move for you?
So I was actually living in the Midwest, down in Davenport, Iowa. There's like a thin line of where I don't know where the East Coast and the Midwest meet. But yes, I did make the transition because in 2020 is when I moved out to Davenport, Iowa to train. I came back home after my training was done. About 3-4 months later, I moved back, like permanently. And it was getting a little bit like I was in a stuck phase, I want to say. It's one of those things where like I don't know what I'm doing. I show up to all these different places every weekend and I don't know if I'm a regular or not. How am I going to get, any recognition? How am I going to get any spots on any cards if I'm just another guy? And Chicago's full of them. And not to say that everyone else there is just another guy. There's a lot of talented people.
Right.
So one summer I went out back to my parents' home in Utah, and I wanted to check out what the Las Vegas scene had to offer. Because before I left, the only thing that I knew of was Future Stars of Wrestling, which, has talents like Chris Bay, Karrion Kross, Solo Sikoa come out of that school. And that was the only thing I knew. And it was either trained there or in Black and Brave. But when I came to visit that summer, I got to find out that there's so many different places to work in, to see that Las Vegas scene is booming. And of course, with WrestleMania coming around, there's going to be a lot more from that whole week. So I got to learn about not just Future Stars, but Grap House Wrestling is out there. Pride Style Wrestling is out there. Big Valley Wrestling is out there. Versus. And then there's so much more I didn't even know about as far as the West Side goes.
I can imagine that the styles are different between Las Vegas, West Coast, between Davenport. No?
That actually, yeah, I do notice that there is a little bit something a little bit different as far as the psychology of the way things go. Out here, it's a lot more of like the hardcore scene. There's a lot more like hard style type of matches, a lot of bar fight type of matches. And I mean, you get that everywhere else, like in the Midwest as well. But I noticed that in Iowa, Chicago, Indiana, there's a lot more of like, bare bones, good guy, bad guy wrestling, types of, I would say those types of matches, they're very old school. Whereas out here, it's like a lot more extreme. I haven't seen anything crazy just yet, but there's definitely a different feel when I go to these shows because it's a lot more, as Vegas likes to call it, more underground.
I get that, yeah. Well, I'm in Los Angeles, so we don't necessarily call pro wrestling in, California. It is more, lucha libre. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of lucha guys, and now that you mention it, I would say lucha's gained more ground across the country because on both sides of the country there is a lot of lucha, and maybe in California there's definitely a lot more guys going in and out in between California and Mexico. Right. That's just been a time-honored thing. Are you doing okay out there in LA? I should ask.
Yes, I'm okay.
All right, bless your heart. I'm from there myself, so I kind of understand the fire feeling. I got family that live out there, so it's like I always just try to check up on people who are dealing these hard times.
And I was like 3 miles away from it. It was kind of touch and go there for maybe a couple of hours, but luckily it passed, and family safe, all that matters.
Glad to hear that you're doing well.
So, getting back to you, I did notice that you did write a list for 2025, things you'd like to achieve. Can you tell us about that list?
The list it's an old, what is it, like a Cody Rhodes thing when he first quit WWE. So I think if you're not writing down goals that you want to achieve, things aren't just going to happen for you. And I mean, for some people, they have better luck than others. But I had set goals for myself after I finished up my training, and I wanted to wrestle these types of people at these types of places. I got to learn a lot about like certain indies and see, okay, this is the kind of crowd I want to work in, or I want to work in this building. It used to be real bigger in the last couple of years. I used to name people, but now it's been more of like, okay, what do I really want to accomplish? Do I want to just wrestle A, B, and C person, or do I want to develop myself more as a wrestler and as a character? And that to me, like, I kind of picked that up a little bit more from a seminar with Gabe Sapolsky, where it really kind of opened my eyes, and I thought, okay, all this stuff is cool and all, but it's not going to help me figure out who DTV is. It's more about like getting the proper reps in, getting the training regimen in, and figuring out like what does DTV want in his career. Is there any specifics that you saw on that list you want me to open up on?
Well, I mean, the first thing on the list is get a new Honda.
Okay. So anybody who knows me, I had a 2013 Kia, and I drove that SOB for a good 120,000 miles. I had it since 2016 or 17. And yeah, it had a good run. Nothing happened to it. Didn't total it or nothing. It was just time to get rid of the car. And my very first car was a 94 Honda Civic. Never had a problem with it. The seatbelt didn't work so well. But I mean, Honda's always been reliable. And that to me, like, that's just the car I've always had. Never had an issue with that. The people I know who've had Hondas never had issues with it. And I've been looking, I'm up till 2, 3 in the morning sometimes just looking, Craigslist, Marketplace, dealerships here and there, just like okay, who's got the best deal? And there's a lot of good deals as far as the West Side actually goes. That's one of the benefits of being out here. I want to travel to somewhere in California or Arizona, get like a 2022 Honda, drive that sucker all the way back to the Midwest and just visit, show that, hey, I've progressed as a person.
Right, and I don't think people, in other places in America quite understand the significance of a good car in California, because you literally have to drive everywhere.
You got to drive everywhere, and the gas there is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the people who live in California that were from Mexico, it's kind of the same way. Mexico's fun to visit, but not to live in. And for a native like myself, I say California is cool to visit, but I could not live there anymore. But I mean, yeah, you guys got cars everywhere, and everyone's trying to outdo each other. People are selling their 2023s for $15,000 with like under 50,000 miles. I can't say.
Oh yeah, we could definitely have a whole conversation about that. But I'm assuming the Honda is more than just driving around. It is specifically for pro wrestling as well, no?
Yeah, if you're a pro wrestler, you are living half the time in your vehicle, and no matter what car it is, it could be a Honda, Kia, Toyota, whatever. A pro wrestler is living most of his life in the car, and he's got rotating roommates coming in all the time. So, and I mean, there's been times where I've had to pull over, sleep in the car, at a rest stop here and there, because, you're on the road for 6 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours, however long. I do have the privilege right now of borrowing my grandfather's Ford Escape. He's no longer with us, but it's been inherited into my father. And then my mother's Prius, and I've always been a person who I don't like to abuse the privilege of anything. And as much as I would like to be on the road 3-4 days, a week, a weekend, I can't abuse that privilege, because truth be told, those vehicles are not mine. They're not mine to thrash. They're not mine to drive around.
Right. Another thing that caught my eye on the list was make moments that emotionally stand out. And you can connect it to another thing on the list, and that is tell a compelling story.
Yes. Pro wrestling is, to me, about telling a story, and it could be about just about anything you want, good guy versus bad guy. This guy took my girl. This guy took my job, took my paycheck, whatever. It can be, to me, those are the best stories because I grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era. You saw like something that kind of I reference right now. Guy took his girl, Matt, Hardy, and Edge took Lita.
Right.
Something like that. Something really compelling to me was probably one of the best matches I've seen in person live. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes, Double or Nothing 2019. And truth be told, I don't think I've ever said this out loud or to anybody, so you'll get a real good one out of this. I saw it live, and when Cody smashed the throne, I was bawling in the cheap seat. Like, I was bawling my eyes out. You could ask my best friend Oliver. I was crying like a baby from the beginning to the end of that match. And that's the kind of thing I want to do, is I want to tell stories, where it's like, okay, perseverance, triumph, tribulation, obstacles, whatever it may be. I just want it to remain consistent and have it make sense, so that way the person who's following me or following the story, they leave with something in their head or in their heart that tells them, like, oh my gosh, that was so true to life.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's what you're, what we're supposed to do as pro wrestlers, or a pro wrestler.
Oh yeah, pro wrestlers all around.
Yeah. One thing that caught my eye was train till failure. Did I read that correct?
Yes. I'm not I write terribly. I know, left-handed curse. And then I have my own terrible calligraphy. Train to failure is just working out for reps until you fail. and that's something Sabotage Sean Logan instilled in me like a couple months ago. He's like, okay, yeah, you can do 12, 15 bicep curls, but are you really feeling that pump afterwards? I said, no. He said, just keep going until you just can't no more. And for me, like I can feel it. I don't know if I see it, but I'm training till like I just cannot. And towards the end of my workouts, because obviously I'm trying to do more work.
Right. What, maybe this isn't exclusive here, but finish this damn blank project?
I can't talk about that. I'm working on a project, and I've blurred it out because I don't know what to call it yet. But I am working on something. Only one other individual knows of what it is. But yeah, I got a project coming up, and I want to try to get it out before WrestleMania.
Okay,
That's
so
the
it
deadline.
is a wrestling project.
Correct.
Okay, so stay tuned.
States.
And the last thing I'd like to talk about on this list is do an interview. I think we could cross that off, no?
Yes, we can. Okay, yes. Finally, we're completing our goals. Thank you again so much. Okay, interview's done, right? Yes. Okay. This could have been 10 seconds now.
And you could have.
But I can. No, yeah. And I do appreciate that opportunity. Like, someone reached out to me months ago. We couldn't get the date and time lined up. So that was over a year ago. I'm glad. Okay. Thank you, James, for helping me complete this one.
Yeah. Already, I'm glad I can contribute. Now, you said making moments, moments the people can relate to. You were actually MPG Tag Team Champions. Can you tell us about that moment?
How did you find out about that? Okay. I like to laugh at myself a lot, so you'll catch me laughing a lot here. MPG is a promotion that is no longer around for financial reasons. There's a lot of horror not like ghost stories about the promotion. It was really like my first experience, really hitting the road, because it was about 6-7 hours away from where I was living. So myself, my tag team partner, Graham Kroger, we were known as Cardinal Manifest. We were two guys with long hair. We looked decent. He looked better than me for sure. And promoter said we had a good look to ourselves. And we kept showing up 6 hours, obviously. And it was one of those situations where our champions are here. We got to just crown your champion. It was that kind of booking. And we just kind of got stuck with it. I can't remember exactly who we beat for it, but our tag titles, they didn't match.
I noticed
it just
that.
Yeah, we got a lot of compliments on that. And you know what? I look back at it, I think it was great. So yeah, about 2-3 months into our title reign, we got matching titles. They look like some old Impact titles. I don't know if the picture is on Instagram anymore, but I might post it. I might not. And yeah, that's the only title I've ever held. I was proud to hold it with my buddy Graham. I enjoyed the stories we got to, tell, things we got to do on the road together. If you know, you know. And then, what was it? We got to drop them after 6-7 months of our title reign at a Comic-Con in front of, I want to say, 2,000 people. 2,000 people who were like attending in and out. And by the time the 3-4 days, we had gotten so over, people were buying my merchandise, people were chanting for us. We were supposed to be the heels by the end of the whole weekend, but no, people loved us. So that's that MPG Tag Team Championship reign for you.
I mean, it's impressive that, it went from, we need new champions, these guys are available, to having, a 7-month reign.
Essentially, I think it's just the consistency, and I mean, it was the only booking that we were really getting. So we didn't have much of a choice, but we still enjoyed it nevertheless.
And what did that mean to you at the time, to, capture your first championship?
To me, at that time, it meant, okay, they see something in us. We are probably one of the more consistent guys around here. And I mean, it's not just us. There was definitely other people that were coming in all the time that were being like defending the title, their title, respectively. But getting to do it with my best friend in the business, my roommate, essentially, because we both trained together. I couldn't have asked for a better first tag team title run with somebody. I guess the only thing I wish I could have is the first title, the first mismatch title that, because that to me is just a solid memory. I love that thing.
Oh yeah. Was that a moment you took in the moment, or was it something that kind of set in afterwards, like, wow, I did this?
I'll tell you what, the day CM Punk debuted at AEW is when that happened. We won the titles in front of 7 or 8 people. So I want to say CM Punk coming back was really like made it all the bigger deal for me to sink it in personally. I don't know. I can't speak for Graham on that, but it was just a different feeling that day. We were all excited. Oh, is it Punk? Is Punk coming back? And then as we're tearing down the ring, we see he came back, and we're all excited. And that just made it a little bit more better. I'm just like, yes, I'm a tag team champion. CM Punk is coming back, and we're going to go see his first match. Life couldn't be better.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but CM Punk followed you on Twitter, no?
Yes, this is a shoot. This is real. In 2014, when he left, there was I remember seeing this on a network special. I can't remember what it was, but they had the sticky note in front of his face, and the tweet I put out said, and I think it was like, CM Punk is getting the Chris you-know-who treatment, and we got the I don't know who that is, we don't talk about it anymore. I can't remember if he liked the tweet, but he followed me for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then he unfollowed me. I think I was playing GTA when that happened. I was like, what?
I mean, at least you got the screenshot of it.
I did get the screenshot, and looking back at it now, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? I'm not the biggest CM Punk guy anymore.
I mean, still a cool moment. And for anybody that doesn't know, he could be still following you as we speak.
He is not. He is not. I've gone through probably 3 or 4 Twitter accounts in the last 10 years just because, I didn't know what my Twitter was going to be. I've had funny parody accounts. I had a dumb teenage one where obviously when you're in high school, you're just stupid. You just say whatever and gossip. I want to say, probably like a fan one for myself. And then after I became a wrestler, I just started a wrestling Twitter. So the only Twitter that you see is my only one. You won't find my other accounts anywhere. They are long gone.
All right. So you mentioned your tag team partner, your friend Graham. Can you tell us about your relationship with him?
Graham Kroger, we don't speak. No, I still speak to Graham Kroger every day. He is in my group chat with a couple of other buddies that we all play video games with. He is a silly lad from Canada, and he's very unique. I'll say that. He's more comical than I am. I think it's just a kindred spirit about him. He dressed very fashionably, and it really brought me out of my shell to kind of dress a little silly too. So for a brief period, I'm wearing like bright colored shorts and wearing like socks up high, like things I just never thought I'd do. He brought that out of me. He definitely affected my diet to a bad extent because he would drag me to burger joints, milkshake joints. But again, it was a bonding experience. I got to live with him for 3 months of training and I guess 6 more months on the road. And, I would make fun of his accent because he's Canadian. And I would harp on him for his accent. And next thing I know, I'm speaking like a Canadian lad. I'm saying, like, out. I do say loony here and there because that's their US dollar.
Yes.
I know a little bit about the Canadian metrics. I would always ask him, like, how far is a kilometer? He'd say 1,000 meters, you idiot. So, like, I would harp on him. But I mean, I think that was just us bringing the best out of each other, you know, and I thank Graham for it all the time. He just asked me the other day if I would consider visiting Iowa because he thought about visiting Iowa too. So, is there a reunion in the works? Maybe. That's a powers that be kind of thing. I'd love to though.
You're reading my mind now. I was just going to ask, will there be any reunions in the future?
You know the ending of like Avenger movies where they say Iron Man will return?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did make a video like that where it said Cardinal Manifest will return, and then right underneath is a question mark. So it is up in the air. After that tag run, or after he went back to Canada. Was there ever a reunion? Yes, we have seen each other after that brief period. He was coming in and out to the U.S. to do some stuff, see some shows. We got to see Forbidden Door together. Will we do another Chili's run because he just is obsessed with Chili's? Yeah, I would put money on it.
All right. You know, you mentioned him kind of taking you out of your shell, kind of getting you more comfortable. That being said, before there was DTV, there was Drip Devlin.
Hey, you did your research. Yes, there was Drip Devlin. There was Aaron Kasner. There's Andrew Bain. I've gone through a plethora of names. Drip Devlin, I think I just wanted a name to stand out. And one of my favorite animes is Yu-Gi-Oh! So I got one of the side characters, Duke Devlin. I was like, that sounds like a cool name, but I probably can't take the whole name. So I'll take the Devlin. What would sound good? Maybe Drip. And I think this is around the time. Actually, no. My trainer, Merrick Brave, wanted myself and Graham Kroger to hang out with Rip Studwell, and we were supposed to be his little brothers or minions. Basically, we were going to be his edge heads, I want to say.
Okay.
So I was going to be Drip, and Graham was going to be Grip. I think that's the origin of that.
Okay. I mean, it was a definitely a more unique look. You wore a mask and a contact with Drip, no?
That is not the same character. That is a promo picture from way before I ever started wrestling.
Okay.
I know the one you're talking about, and I hand them out for free because 6-year-old pictures, and I like to be that guy that kind of gives deals when people buy my merchandise.
Okay, I gotcha. So somebody was not proficient with their photo matching with the names.
Oh yeah, okay. I know which one I think I know which one you're talking about. But I mean, yeah, that happened. Your first year, you don't have promo pictures done yet. You don't know your name. You don't know anything about wrestling. I still don't.
Well, you know, you mentioned Merrick Brave, Black and Brave. Obviously, you trained there. Being trained there, you was actually featured in the newspaper. Your picture. You know, it's one thing to be, you know, on a website, but I think it hits a lot different when, you know, it's in black and white in your hands, no?
Correct. The story behind that, I got off of work early in the morning, and my good buddy Dion Roosman, Iceberg Dion Roosman, texted me and says, "Hey, can you come to the gym with your gear?" And I go, "Not a problem. What's going on?" I'm thinking, I had the day off. I didn't even have a booking. I think I was just going to work out and just go train, whatever. He brings me in. There's cameras. I'm like, "What are we doing?" And he tells me they're interviewing me for the local paper. I said, "Really? Okay. What do you want me to do?" He goes, "I just want you to get body slammed a bunch of times." And at that point, I had trained with Dion long enough. I know what he does. I know what we're gonna do. We did a couple takes and some pictures. It was more of a feature on Dion, but I mean that somewhere in that article you see me getting the big screen face in as I'm getting body slammed. So it was very rewarding. I'm glad I could do that for a friend. It's a fond memory, and I still have the paper somewhere in my closet.
Awesome. Now, one thing I find interesting is that you actually wrestled inside a six-sided ring. What are kind of the advantages, disadvantages that you found, wrestling in, an ocular ring rather than a squared circle?
The best way I could describe, the ring that you're talking about, the D6 ring, is not a full six-sided, even six-sided ring.
It's the five-sided, isn't it?
No, it's more of like a crystal side, like a crystal. I would say it looked like a crystal shape. So you have two flat sides that are parallel with each other, and then the diagonal part, they do not line up. You are going in the weirdest triangle from one side to another, but it's not. There's only one straight way. The other four are not. The benefits of that ring in particular was it was stationed in that building. It was never going to be torn down, so we didn't have to tear it down. But I mean, that ring, people say six-sided ring, stiff, this and that. I think my body was conditioned enough for it to where it didn't hurt all that bad. It was rewarding. I loved it. I was like, oh, must be what TNA feels like. Will I ever do a six-sided ring again? I would love to. D6. I miss you guys.
Hell yeah. Definitely, if you're listening, book the man. That match was with A1 Anakin Murphy, well-known name of the region. What was that match like?
That match was not supposed to happen. I was supposed to wrestle somebody else who couldn't make it, and Anakin just happened to be in the air. I think he was traveling with somebody else, or they might have called him in. I'm not 100% all the details, but yeah, I got to wrestle Anakin. He's a really cool guy. Love getting to know him a little bit. If there's anything I could change about that match, I think it was just like being more adaptable to more of his style. I mean, mind you, this is like I'm still learning about like how these other indie wrestlers are compared to just like the basic one-on-one sort of way. And I mean, I have to be a little more comfortable working as a heel with him too. I have to learn how to say, mean things without being too mean, because I don't like to swear either. But Anakin Murphy is a very talented individual. I would love to work with him again. I hear he kind of helped with TurboTax Wrestling, I want to say. Something about taxes in the name.
One of those, I believe.
Something with taxes. You're going to have to correct me. He's going to correct me on that. He's going to message me and say, you're the worst. How could you get it?
And that would be a very Anakin thing for him to do.
It would be. Sorry, Anakin. I love you.
Shout out to Anakin. We love him as well. Friend of the show. The six-sided ring, Anakin Murphy. You mentioned that it wasn't necessarily him at first. How do you kind of adjust that? Okay, I'm supposed to wrestle this guy, then it just changes, within, a couple hours. Do you just, how do you mentally prepare yourself for that?
It's an on-the-fly sort of thing. So, I mean, the guy I was supposed to originally wrestle was more of a grounded, grappling type of dude. Denzel Rollins, really cool guy. I got to see him once, and he was phenomenal. Jeez. I really, I could have a set-in-stone match with somebody, but the things I have planned, 9 out of 10 times will never happen. I try not to marinate on whatever it is I might do with somebody else. It's more of just getting to understand what my opponent's strengths are, what and then them showcasing my strengths and hiding each other's weaknesses. That'd be the better answer for that, because in wrestling nothing is set in stone. Things change on the flip of a dime real quick. Even if it is, it's like guy A versus guy B, and then out of nowhere guy A isn't winning no more. It's going to be guy B because of this reason, and there is going to be an interference here. That's wrestling. That's the fun part. The little bit of little added stress. It brings a little more emotion, a little more frustration. And when when you're not happy with the result of whatever is about to go down, it shows.
Right. So definitely, a unique experience, a bizarre one to say the least. Which brings us to DTV's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh boy, you're throwing a curveball at me. Probably one of the better ones, probably one of the ones that I could probably tell, is a buddy of mine had his car broken into in Chicago. I'm the one with the Utah plate and a Kia, and those things are easy to break into. My car's out in the open. My buddy's Kia gets broken into, has his stuff taken, has the whole car stolen, and I'm pulled over for 45 minutes with 4 or 5 other people in the car. I'm like, what do we have to do? Do I have to drop some people off here so I can pick so-and-so up? It's a matter of just figuring out, because I'm not going to just leave my friends in Chicago,
Right.
Another one that just came in my head, Jay Marston. I had to run him to the airport. He dropped his car off at another wrestler's house in Chicago. I had to run him to the airport and, just go back home. Should be easy, right? And he calls another person that's in the car and goes, how far are you guys? And that's when I really just kind of pull off. I'm thinking, what does he have to say? Because I'm already tired. And he says, you're going to have to drive me back to my car because I forgot Steve Manders' hat.
Oh, no.
So one called Manders, gets his hats ordered from a company in Iowa, and has all of us young boys, all us green boys, pick them up. And, that burden fell on Jay Marston this week. So it was, are you for real? And I'm thinking about it. Okay, this isn't even for you, Jay. This is for Manders. I have to run back to the airport, pick him up, go back to the house, and drop him off. And I'm thinking, okay, I know if I don't do this, Manders is going to chew me out for this. I already know it. So that's when I make the executive decision to go back another 15 minutes, pick up Jay, go to his car, grab the hats, stop at a gas station to eat for another 45 minutes, then drop him off. I went from a very unhappy camper to I got donuts out of this, I think. So that's a more of a fun one, I guess. I look back fondly on that story.
I mean, hell yeah. Any story that ends with donuts is a good one, in my opinion.
Agree to disagree. Sometimes. It depends on what it is.
Well, maybe it depends on the type of donut. Krispy Kreme's 100%.
Krispy Kreme, yes. When it's fresh, yes. But mind you, this was like midnight at a gas station, and they're not fresh.
True. Yes. I wonder about those hot dogs.
I didn't even know they had hot dogs.
At gas stations at 12 o'clock, they certainly do have hot dogs.
I thought you meant Krispy Kreme.
That would be awesome if Krispy Kreme had hot dogs.
I'd try it. Why not? There's worse foods out there. That can't be too bad. Definitely eaten a lot of gas station hot dogs.
Yeah. Alright. You mentioned it before. Can you tell us about your love of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, that started when I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. My cousin put it on one day, and it was episode 1. So, of course, the highlight of that whole episode is the Blue Eyes White Dragon. So, fast forward 20-some years later, I got a whole book of different Blue Eyes prints. I just recently made an entrance where I pulled out the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and yeah, just got to showcase that a little bit. So, I used to be really into the game. I used to go to locals. I used to have the apps on my phone, and I had some video games at one point. I mean, I just watched it last night. So it's one of those things that definitely doesn't leave you. I would say, like, the things you like when you're a kid, you're going to like them forever.
Oh, yeah. The original anime, 100%, would definitely go back and watch that. Not too sure about the ones nowadays. But yeah, definitely Blue Eyes White Dragon is, the main.
It's the main. I dare anybody to watch the new animes. They're very cringe. They're hard to watch, and the rules are a little bit tricky to keep up with. I'm thinking this is not it for me. I still collect the cards, but the show, I can't watch the shows no more.
Yeah. But if you think about watching, those shows, the original series nowadays, and, like, there's some really deep, themes in those shows for, like, 6-year-olds. You know what I mean?
A little bit. I'm watching the Battle City arc right now, and I not realize just how dark and insane it gets. I mean, we're talking in America, you're getting sent to the Shadow Realm. But in hindsight, if you're old enough to know, in Japan, they're trying to kill people. That's what that's about.
Yeah. A card game with very high stakes.
Life's on the line. Kid show.
But you, like, actually was very competitive. Were you competitive when you played the games?
I tried to be. When I learned about what the metas were, and those meta cards were $40 a piece, it's hard to be in that. So I would try to be I think the highest I've ever placed is maybe 3rd or 4th in a locals tournament. I never went to regionals or anything like that, but I mean, I ran a Blue Eyes deck, I ran a Dark Magician deck, I ran a Dinosaur deck. I tried running an Exodia deck for a little while too, but I mean, the meta is the meta. If you don't have the money, you can't play, with the, top dogs, I would say. And at that point, the meta when I left was Zodiacs, and they were the absolute worst. Like, I hated playing this one dude against them, because it was just, once he started going his combo, peace out, Girl Scout, you're done.
Yeah. I'm a big basic when it comes to my, legendary cards. Arvalus, Slifer, the other one, I can't remember his name. Those are like Ra. The Winged Dragon of Ra. Yes. So yeah. When it comes to my Yu-Gi-Oh, I like the basics, the originals, the OGs.
Yes, and we just have a format where it's just, legacy decks, things like that, and maybe limit the type of OP cards you can run. That'd be nice.
I don't know if you collect the figures, but I know that they made a Blue Eyes White Dragons SH Figwarts, if you know what that is.
I know what that one is. That is just too out of my budget. I do have, like, every now and then the little Target collectibles. I just buy the ones on eBay now because it's a lottery with those. So I have a bunch of little Blue Eyes figures. I got a Funko Pop. I'm looking at it right now. Big figure guy. It's just, there's too many things that I'm into. I have to just kind of limit to maybe 2 or 3 things. And right now, Blue Eyes is kind of at the bottom of it. I'll only get the cards at this point if they're within the budget.
Well, what's on the top of that list?
Oh boy. It is definitely action figures. I'm a huge action figure guy. One of the things I kind of have a priority over right now is anything Bret Hart, anything Seth Rollins, and I know I'm gonna get chewed out for that one a lot. Adam Cole, it used to be Adam Cole. I don't like his figures no more. And I want to say I think Cody Rhodes. I think now I go for more of like things that are grailed or things that are just kind of like you don't see often. So one of the things that I think I have that stands out, I just got a Chase Adam Cole from the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And the only reason I picked that up was because I was at that show. So like when it comes to those things, like if it's something that I've seen in person, I'll get it. If it's a really like, what are the New Japan figures? The Storm collectibles. I like to get those. And then if you have like a really good Ultimate edition out there, those are kind of like the things I put on top of the list.
Okay, so primarily pro wrestling stuff.
Of course.
No, I completely understand what you mean by, if I saw it in person, then I'm probably going to get that figure. WrestleMania 39, like I'm trying to collect all the figures that were released for that. I recently just got Seth Rollins in the pink gear and Bianca in the Hollywood gear.
There you go. I mean, yeah, the more recent WrestleManias, they're just going to pump a bunch of those out. I mean, you're looking at the last decade, they're just going to make, maybe not decade, maybe the last 5 years, they're just going to pump stuff out of that. I mean, Roman Reigns, same thing. You can't go wrong with a Roman from WrestleMania 40 and 39 and so on.
I mean, it's primarily the same figure, though. He doesn't change his gear very often.
For sure. I think one of the things that I do have a couple of Romans. The only difference is, this one's a different colored gauntlet. I'm more of now like smartening up to fodder, which is I guess pieces. So I'll buy like pieces here and there for like $5 because it's just easier than getting a whole new figure.
I get that. You mentioned, anything Bret Hart. Maybe you could elaborate on this quote, this sentence, I should say. That one Bret Hart autograph?
That one Bret Hart autograph. There is, okay, as I'm looking at mine right now, but that's not the one. The story behind this, and you might have seen this on Reddit, on Twitter. I was helping Bret Hart's line at a meet and greet for a promotion. I just don't want to throw them under the bus, but I know the event. And what happened was this fan goes to meet Bret Hart, says, write whatever you want about Goldberg. And again, this is where you might see it on the internet. And he writes, F. Goldberg, the crappiest wrestler to ever step into the ring. And myself and another wrestler, we saw this autograph. We saw a paragraph. We're like, can we see that? And we saw this and we laughed so hard. And the first thing we do, phones out, pictures sent. I took pictures and I kept it to myself. The other guy, he sent it to the locker room and now it is out there for everyone to see. It's one of my favorite, I still have it. It's one of my favorite things. I just wish I was smart enough to think about getting one of those myself. So that one Bret Hart autograph, legendary, classic. It happened 10 feet away from me.
Incredible. But you also have a hat worn by Shawn Michaels?
Oh, which one by Shawn Michaels?
A hat.
Yeah, I do. Oh, wow. You're really going into the lore, James. I'm proud of you. I forget these things I put. So the Bret Hart hat the Shawn Michaels hat was worn by Shawn at a live event, a house show in I don't know when he wore this, but he threw it to my aunt. She was at the show and she caught it. And when I was 15 years old, she gave it to me as a birthday present. She's not really my aunt. She was a friend of my mom's, but I've known her long enough to call her my aunt. She gives it to me when I turned 15, said, yeah, he wore that, tossed it to me. I go, what? This is amazing. And it still sits in my closet somewhere too. I love that hat. I don't think I'll trade that for anything in the world. It's one of my prized possessions, I want to say.
That's awesome. It's the cowboy hat or like a baseball cap?
It is a baseball cap with HBK written across it. I'll just tweet that out later today so everyone sees it. It's the old, how would I describe it? It's like the monochrome, I want to say, type of logo, that HBK logo, I want to say.
Okay, I think I know which one you're talking about.
I'm gonna find it and then I'll send a picture to you for it.
Sweet. All right. Well, we're talking about all these, awesome, memorabilia collection that, you have. But, when it comes to DTV memorabilia, you actually make your own foam fingers. I mean, not, factory made. You hand make your foam fingers, no?
That is correct. I have made my own foam finger from scratch. Blood, sweat, and tears went into my foam fingers. I've always seen, whenever I go to a show, indie show, big corporate show, whatever, WWE, AEW, New Japan, they have there's unique merchandise. I am one of those people that's like, okay, well, nobody really buys the foam fingers. I'm gonna get one of those, and they're super cheap. I also get the program, things like that. Hint, hint. So I just thought, okay, nobody else on the indies really has foam fingers. I've only seen one other guy, and I went ahead and I bought some foam on sale. Started figuring out how can I cut this because it's foam. It's a very delicate material. You can use heat, but you have to be very timing with it. I went ahead, just used regular scissors to cut it up and painted the rest. And using all the foam fingers that I have, there's a whole box somewhere in my closet of just wrestling foam fingers. And that's kind of what inspired me to do that. People have t-shirts, people have 8x10s, this and that, but they don't have their foam fingers. I just think it's like one of the more unique pieces of merchandise you can get in or out of wrestling. The only reason I made them by hand is because all these websites, they want you to order 200 and for $300, here you go. Now you have to take the risk of, am I really going to sell all 200 of these foam fingers? I didn't know. Right now I sold, I think, about 3 of them out of the 7 or 8 that I've made.
I mean, that's a pretty good margin as of right now.
It's something definitely different.
Definitely. And you're speaking to a very much lover of foam fingers. I just recently went to Raw. I just obtained the Jey Uso foam finger. So, yeah, lots of foam fingers on my side of things.
That's a good one. I'm telling you, I love it. And I think WWE only makes like 1 or 2 different ones a year. So as the years go by, they get a little bit more rare, I want to say.
Definitely. One that I bought from the event that I found to be very expensive nowadays is the CM Punk fist. That one was very costly, or rare as of right now. But the Rock Brahma Bull, the Stone Cold, middle finger, foam finger, yeah, I have a lot of those. I have most of those.
Love. Do you have the Bret Hart one?
Which do I have a Bret Hart one?
It's okay. Those ones are a little hard to come by. Now I've only seen one in person, and of course the guy I know, he got it at a flea market for $10. I go,
wow.
He did not know what he had.
Yes.
you see those things on eBay. They're a lot.
Yeah. I don't have Bret Hart, but I have Sting, his Scorpion. What else? I have Stone Cold Snake, Triple H's, H's. I have too many. I'll
There's
just
no
say
such thing. There's no such thing. They're the best.
they are 100%. I need to start going back on eBay and looking for some new ones. Alright. Can you tell us about your tattoo and if there is any meaning behind it?
Which one?
The one that I saw was the Japanese character.
The Japanese character, it's from Street Fighter. It is Akuma's insignia. And if anybody who has seen the Street Fighter Assassin's Fist movie, it goes a little more into the lore of Ryu, Ken, and Akuma. And it goes into more of Akuma's upbringing before he went super evil. But the girl gave him the insignia, and it says heaven. So it, on one end, it does represent my faith. And then on the other side of it, the woman tells him it means eternal glory for what you strive for, because all Akuma ever wanted was to be the best. So that's another thing I do is, I strive to be eternally great.
What about your other tattoos?
I have a straight edge one from when I think I was 20, 21 years old. Got that for really cheap. Yeah, just straight edge. A lot of people think it's a girl's initials. It's not. And then the one on my calf I got done about 2 years ago. It is a mural of Bobby Hill and Cotton Hill at a bar having drinks. Bobby having a root beer and Cotton having a regular beer. And that was for when my grandfather passed away. That was like the picture I posted. Like it was the first thing that came to mind. I saw the frame and I thought, wow, they have a really good, unique bond together. And my grandfather and I, we had a really good relationship, all the way up until he passed. He was a good guy. He did everything he could for his wife and kids. He did fight in Vietnam. He was a man I looked up to. So to, really represent that, I got that frame of Cotton and Bobby on my calf.
Okay. Is there any plans for new ink in the future?
Always. You gotta get new ink. Dodgers just won the World Series last year. I gotta get something for that, right? I've been wanting to get something for LA because that's where I was born.
Okay, so a Dodgers logo would represent LA as well, but
something like that.
Depending on who you see through the decades, they might think you're from New York.
I mean, that's why we gotta get the LA. I'm
right.
If you just get Dodgers, I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm not.
Hey, it might work to your advantage.
You never know. There might be somebody out there who's got a Brooklyn Dodger tattoo. Bless their heart. They're never coming back.
Well, they have hope.
Yeah.
Alright, so that is in the works. Alright, I think it's time for the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has its soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Okay. This will be a really interesting one. First song would probably be Tennis Court by Lorde.
Okay.
And a lot of people are gonna be like, why Lorde? I'm just a big fan of Lorde. I love Lorde. I hope she makes a new album soon. Moonshiners. I can't remember the name of the artist. I'm getting into like this outlaw country type of genre right now, but the song's called Moonshiners. And then probably the last one, let's do Uneasy Hearts Weigh the Most by Dance Gavin Dance. That'll be like, somewhere at the end, or if there's like a love scene.
Alright. Solid 3 picks to say the least. Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first. Then you write the script, and then you go to casting. who plays you, and you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Oh, okay. So I'm already in it as a Stan Lee type of character. Cool. Okay. Probably playing the role of myself. Interesting. I'm probably gonna. Does it have to be actors or can it be anybody I know?
If you'd like it to be somebody you know, you can.
I'm gonna try to keep this as wrestling as possible, just because I think it's fun. Playing the role of me, you know what? John Cena.
Okay. Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
All right. Well, one of the significant people in my life probably gonna be my father, and to probably play him, the person I gotta play him has got to be, ironically, just for fun, and to get his acting career going, Seth Rollins. Why not?
Okay.
Seth Rollins cussing out John Cena on tape or on the big screen. Okay. Interesting enough. And then fast forward to When I Train. How about that? So now I'm in Seth Rollins' school. So playing the role of Seth Rollins, let's do Matt Crotch Mayday
Okay.
as the role of Seth Rollins. And then let's get a best friend in there to play the role of, let's throw in Sabotage Sean Logan, playing the role of him. Let's go with, let's go with his tag team partner, Gunnar Brave. This is yeah. Gunnar Brave was my roommate too, so I would just love to see his interpretation of him. Why not?
All right.
Good buddy cop type of movie.
Never knew I wanted to see Seth Rollins as John Cena's father, but here we are.
I gotta let my imagination run wild. Please give me that.
Absolutely. And it is sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
The bar is very low here.
On to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Yes. It does go. Pineapple on pizza does work, okay? What doesn't go on pizza is that Canadian bacon or ham or whatever it is. That to me does not make any, it's not pepperoni enough. It's sweet, but not like pineapple sweet. Like to me, I'm not a big ham guy, and I'm not a big ham on pizza guy either. Pineapple, any day.
Okay, so we're very pro pineapple, but very anti ham.
Yes, it's a sandwich thing.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Spirit, oh my goodness. You're asking me about Yu-Gi-Oh, but then you throw in Pokemon? Probably Detective Pikachu. Because he's addicted to coffee, and as am I now.
Well, let's rephrase the question a little bit, because we did talk about Yu-Gi-Oh before. What's your spirit card?
Spirit card, if we're gonna, out of the Blue Eyes archetype, it's probably gonna be the let's go with the Dragon Spirit of White, because it's not fully a Blue Eyes yet, but it has the potential to be.
Okay. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
No, I don't. I do not know it. I have not watched my Tracy Smothers clips.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. 'Cause a dog can't spell.
All right. Now I have to hold you up to that. I'm gonna watch some Tracy Smothers this week.
Read the book. His book is titled "Buy This Book or Everybody Dies."
Sounds good. Sounds good. I want to finish a book too.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers. We're trying to keep the memory alive on the show. Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
No. No. I'm a big Jim Cornette guy. So he's talking about, how stupid it is to wrestle 9-year-old kids and blow up dolls, and it just makes the business look bad. To me, wrestling a Rock just makes the business look bad. I don't see the fun in that. My imagination runs wild, but when it comes to that, no, I can't wrap my head around that.
Okay. Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Okay, if you can market a wrestling match for 2 weeks, you have to surround it with other wrestling-esque content. So you could probably get like a star cast or some type of event planning around that to make that work, because it does, you can only watch something for so long. You gotta change channels. So if I'm watching someone wrestle a Rock for 2 weeks, I'm gonna need to go get some snacks. I'm gonna go do a meet and greet. I'll go watch another wrestling match and then come back and see, oh, he's still doing it. I wonder if anything's changing. Let's see. And I mean, yeah, camping for 2 weeks, why not?
Well, on a serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I would like to have my own home, traveling, wrestling more, and I would like to be flown out to places, and see and explore more of the world. That'd be the vision. That's the dream, and I would love to do it under the WWE umbrella.
Hell yeah. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
Haven't had it yet, I want to say. I think you're not going to find it anywhere on the internet, but the practice matches that I've done at the Black and Brave gym, whether it be with students or with other fellow grads, because we are figuring stuff out as we go along sometimes. Actually, the best way I could put it is any match I have to do on the fly with a student, because that really showcases my ability to help this student, think on the fly, not worry too much about like whatever's going to happen next, just be in the now and figure out what makes sense to them. You're never going to see those, but that's something I would probably suggest, because I like calling matches on the fly.
So nothing we could find on YouTube.
I'm not probably the only thing you probably find on IWTV was when I did a Dreamwave Battle Royal, and I was just having the time of my life being in the ring with guys like Colt Cabana and Luigi Primo and Florida Man. And Florida Man is choking me out with his little lawn chair, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. That would be a little something too, because you also get to see not only me, but you get to see all the cool characters from the Dreamwave roster.
Alright, well, you could definitely, if you have an IWTV subscription, definitely go down, check that out. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Hold on. Okay.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Bret Hart.
Worst wrestler.
Shawn Michaels.
Wow. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Seth Rollins.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
John Cena's.
Which one?
Basic Thugonomics. Throw everybody off.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
What is that?
Well, it's something we'd like to say that you could put on toast.
Let's do it. Let's put it on toast. Sounds like Australian Vegemite.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Fruit.
Yes, that is correct. It is indeed a fruit. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Cover the butt cheek. Cover the butt cheek. If it goes up, you're gonna get a wedgie.
So full coverage.
Yeah, full coverage.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Not yet.
And that's the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Hey, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find all things DTV on social media?
On Twitter/X, it is DTVPW. And then on Instagram, it is DTV.pro. I have a YouTube channel. It is just DTV with my logo on it. You'll see it. There's not a whole lot of videos, but there's a playlist of matches and channels I've appeared.
And we can DM you for merchandise, correct?
DM me for merchandise, and I'll give you a price list, plus shipping and handling.
And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below. But on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Buy it, drink it, gush it.
Hell yeah. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Play One Coffee. Join us this next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on Extra and Instagram, for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertainment, okay?
Got it.
For our special guest DTV, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling With
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.